This, which is obviously very cool that it's signed by Jim. Hi, how are you? And welcome to Josiah Is Right. So, if you watch this channel, you're probably related to me, but if you aren't related to me, you would know that I am originally from the Pittsburgh area, and that is home. It will always be home. And we go about every 6 months. COVID unfortunately slowed that. There's a big gap of 2 years, which is the longest I've never been. What is still always home, even though I'm in my home here in California. Anyway, we went home over the summer. Was that our first trip back? No. We went home starting 2 summers ago, or last summer. Time's a blur with kids. But anyway, our most recent trip over the summer, we weren't able to go Christmas time because we were moving into this awesome new house. So we were gonna go visit sooner, but we just couldn't because of that. But the last time we visited in the summer, that's what I'm trying to get at here. I follow Phantom of the Attic. This is a long, convoluted way to talk about Phantom of the Attic, but this is just the way to get there, I guess. So I follow them on Instagram. I've shopped there throughout the years here and there. It's not really close to my parents. It's in the city, but I've always loved that shop. It's a really cool shop, the Phantom of the Attic, Oakland specifically. And you go up the stairs and in, and I'll show you some video. You go up the stairs and up over in the back, and the shop is, it's like this secret corridor to up above in this great, awesome open space full of comic books. And it's just a glorious shop, and they just really treat you well there and take care of you. And have done so for me, even though I've been far away. So I want to share some things that we got on our last trip there. So this is Judy's pickup, which is a Wonder Woman 750, and I think this one was on sale. So she has a Wonder Woman collection, comics and stuff. So a lot of the stuff I bought her when I proposed. A lot of that stuff we no longer have, but we do have some of the comics and certain things that she hung on to. So that was Judy's pickup. I will cut to a shot of the girls' comic book pickups. Prim and Penny picked these. They're kind of kids-centered comic books. Penny picked a DC one and a Marvel one, and she has loved them both, especially that DC one. We've read that one multiple times. She really likes the superhero girls, and she's really familiar with those. So we've read those several times now, that one. So, but she's a big fan of that. I also got some great random, not dollar comics, but $2 comics. So New Mutants, this is the only comic series that I ever had a complete set of, and unfortunately I sold it, including the first appearance of Deadpool, which I regret for financial reasons at this point, because the value of that book shot up so much. I sold it before the moves. We needed money to buy our first house, so I don't regret it, but I kind of also do regret it. And then here is the Flash, just random old Flash comics, again, for $2. Another New Mutants comic here, and I haven't even really looked at these, but again, just great value. And then RoboCop. I was a big fan of this because one of my first comic book purchases, I've had some other videos where I'll cut to a shot of it. I have this green box, and this green box has showed up. I had it since I was a kid. It was from Sears, and it came full of comic books, full of backing boards, stuff like that, all the stuff you would need to sort of start a collection. And it had a RoboCop comic in it, and that got me started on RoboCop comics. I was probably familiar with the movie, don't know if I'd seen it at that point, because probably shouldn't have if I did, but I feel like I did. Mom, maybe let me watch RoboCop at that time. You're either the best parent ever or the worst, but that started me on RoboCop. And I remember the comic also, to me, seemed really intense and violent, and I'm sure it wasn't in comparison in retrospect. But another comic that's rather intense and violent compared to the cartoon version, G.I. Joe. Loved G.I. Joe comics as well, obviously. My first comic book ever was a G.I. Joe comic. The one with like Storm Shadow and the different ninjas sort of jumping out of a plane was a Jim Lee cover. And I didn't know that until way later that it was a Jim Lee cover, but that was the first comic I ever got from my Uncle Lou and Aunt Marlene with a Salvo action figure. So Uncle Lou and Aunt Marlene, surprisingly, are responsible for me being heavily into comic books, and it's stuck all these years later. And then the last old vintage one, I guess, is this Defenders comic, and just such a weird, funky team there. Yeah, so I haven't even opened this guy up, but the new Defenders. So, but for $2 each, great deal. So, the old school dollar comics they had, or not the old school, the dollar comics they had weren't as good, but their $2 comics were awesome, and I happily paid $2. So the real reason I wanted to do this video and share my gratitude and appreciation for this shop is, first of all, the sense of community that it just creates. We went there with my girls, my Judy and I, my daughters Penny and Prim, and my two oldest nieces, and it's cool because we don't get to see them very often, so it's really special that when we spend time together, we try to spend really quality time, you know, at least from my perspective and Judy's, that we want to make sure that time is really valuable and well spent. And so we try to do things like we went to the city with them, we would take them to the zoo a lot or something like that.
Take it to the zoo.
So those are comic books we just, you know, bought when we saw them. But I went to pick up comic books that they were holding for me for months and months. Like I was gonna maybe have them ship it, but they're like, yeah, we'll just hang on to it for you. And they actually have stuff that they're holding for me now that I was hoping to go over Christmas and pick up. But that was kind of what I was trying to get at when my brain was scrambled earlier. My brain was broken, as I say to Penny. That was what I was trying to get at, that I wanted to get out there this Christmas to pick up comics that they had and some books that they had, but I couldn't. But part of what they did, which was awesome, was they had a couple of, well, first, this is not one they held for me, but Red Room, issue 4, I have the first 3, and this is Ed Piskor, who is a more popular on YouTube than I am, and a really great artist. X-Men Grand Design, really interesting, unique take on the X-Men, and continuing the Pittsburgh-based, Tom Scioli did the Fantastic Four. He lives, I believe he's not a Pittsburgh native technically, but he lives there. And so he is part of the crew that have created these sort of more artistic, not air quotes, I didn't mean that, artistic takes on classic Marvel superheroes with a very sort of skewed take in a good way, but also very lovingly crafted works, and very unique stories told and perspectives on the stories, which is really what's great, plus their unique art styles. And my personal favorite of them, that I haven't even read the whole thing, is Jim Rugg's Hulk Grand Design. And so that's what I have here. So this is one variant on that cover, which is just glorious. And then, what even issue is this? Or this, I don't even know what I'm holding here. So then I have this, which is obviously very cool that it's signed by Jim. And then another one, this glorious, beautiful, amazing cover that just would make a great poster on the wall behind me, it's my comic that came and went many years ago. Young Zombie. It's still, you can still find it out there. But I was just so grateful that Jim Rugg would sign those comics and leave some extra for people like me who couldn't get there to the event, and I'm quite far away, and I wish I could go to support local Pittsburgh artists and my local Pittsburgh shop. But this is my way of doing so via Instagram, communicating via Instagram and staying in touch and making friends that way. And you know, I'd been down there, but I hadn't been there in years, probably approaching, when I was probably last down there when I was maybe in college, or I don't know when, but certainly before I went to grad school. So grad school was 13, 14 years ago now. Man, that makes you feel old. And so it was just cool to get these comics, support a local shop. So I hope to visit again there soon, and when I visit my family, and pick up some stuff that's waiting for me and get some more awesome comics in those cheap comics bins. Thank you guys for watching, and be sure to support your local comic shop. And if you're in Pittsburgh, go to Phantom of the Attic. I almost said Phantom of the Opera. You can go to that too if it's playing in Pittsburgh. It'd be down at the Benedum. The Benedum, where I saw Oliver, as a kid, a musical version. Of Oliver Twist. I remember the guy who played, like, what's his name, Rat Fink or something? Not Rat Fink, you know, the guy who runs all the pickpockets. He was in a wheelchair because the actual actor broke his foot. Bye.